This program is financially supported by the fundings from the European Commission.
You are listening to the Ebu Access Cast, the first official podcast from European Blind Union about assistive technology for blind and partially sighted people. And here are the hosts.
Welcome to the 20th edition of the Ebu Access Cast. My name is Mario Percinic. I'm coming to you from Luxembourg. And today is March 14th, on the day of our recording. And with me today I have Tanya Kleut, also from Luxembourg. Hello.
Hello.
And Pavel Masarczyk from Poland.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing, guys?
Fine.
Fine.
Oh, fine. Okay.
Yes, it's... yeah.
Nice. Unfortunately, as much as we wanted, we cannot avoid the mainstream news that's going on for the last, let's say a few weeks. And that's the coronavirus, which got pandemic since the last few days. The World Health Organization said that we approached the time of the pandemics, the new ones. And, this time it affects absolutely anybody regarding do you have disability or not. It doesn't care. The virus doesn't care. So, we really have to take care of each other and take care of the hygiene and all the precautions which you have from basically country to country.
Yeah, clean our smartphones and our keyboards,
Yeah, sometimes these kind of things helps. So it's wise to do it. Despite the fact that probably nobody from us doesn't have anything new in the tech since the last month. The first news from us for today is the fact that as all of the things regarding the coronavirus started to spread globally, it started to affect also the tech and the IT industry as well, and the people who are involved in everyday work for such industries. So what's happening is that more and more companies are advising their employers to work from home. So that means teleworking or remote working. And of course, this affects as well the large companies such as Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and the rest. So the first article which we have for you says that the huge tech giants will pay their staff normally, even if they have to stay at home and possibly have reduced work or whatever, which is great. It's absolutely fantastic that people are becoming aware of the situation and that, we have to adjust. So, go ahead and check out this article about it. We do have also a few nice tweets from people who are working in the assistive tech industry. So one of them is from Mr. Shadi Abuzara, who basically said as more and more people are advising people to work remotely and the schools are starting to give their courses online, it's the right time to integrate the accessibility into all of it, so that all of us have equal access. I think that's right, guys. What do you say?
Yeah, exactly. We have to think about that the remote service that you are using from home is accessible and that you have access to the applications that you would use in the office. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, unfortunately, these virtual services are not accessible. They don't allow screen readers to access the information from the servers. But this is the right opportunity to think also about that and to integrate accessibility into this.
Yeah, I'm quite curious how this will happen in different countries worldwide, because let's not forget that not for everyone this online reality is the reality globally. Mm-hmm. And a lot of teachers even, they never had the need to use a computer or not as extensively, let alone for teaching. And suddenly they have to get a crash course in how to teach online. And they have to choose a platform, and okay, that's fine that many platforms offer free of charge access for this time. This is really great. But then the teachers have to find out how to use this and how to integrate students in this. Then, of course, we also have to think that there are students who will try to work around it because they will want to use this opportunity to have a free holiday. I already heard of a case where an education app for mobile phones was really outplayed of the App Store because the students started bombarding it with one-star reviews. So it's like a whole new reality where we have to find the strengths and pitfalls. But what's definitely a takeaway is that we will now see how much we can do online if like the whole world switches to functioning online. Mm-hmm. And this is also interesting in the perspective of disabled people because for years, like online courses, online events were such an enhancement to many people who had a difficult time living home. And it was difficult to obtain access via online means to your exams or courses. And now suddenly this will be a reality for everyone. So I already saw this echoed on Twitter that things that were previously considered to be a reasonable accommodation for disabled people suddenly become a necessity for the whole society. And maybe this is maybe this is a great chance for accessibility to blossom as well. I really hope so. And because you never know, and the situations like this show you that, you know, digitalization, accessibility, and so on. This is something that you never know when you need it until suddenly coronavirus arrives, and we have a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, speaking of that, it's also important to have all the information about the emergency services accessible as well, and this correlates with the post from Alejandro Moledo, who was one of our previous guests in one of the episodes, where he basically says that as the situation now is on very high alert, that all the people with disabilities should be able to equally access all the services for the emergency, so that all informations are accessible with all kinds of formats, so including the spoken format, the large print, the printed material, electronic formats, etc. But Pavel, you made a really good summary of what's going on, and yeah, this is the kind of I'm definitely up with you on that the accessibility came kind of upfront unexpectedly. Because right now, something that was not the reality became our reality, or it's becoming as we speak right now. Because we also have the situation, for instance, that from this Monday in Croatia, the teachers will have to start their online teaching for kids, and we also have a bunch of problems already where people never used such platforms, etc. So we will see how everything will look at the end as well. And I'm sure that it's more or less the case everywhere where the huge outbursts of the virus is. So yeah.
Well, let's hope that it will go soon.
Yeah, this is also one of the reasons why you shouldn't wait with improving accessibility till it's too late or till it's very late. Because, online teaching until now was a fancy thing to have, and it was like one of these modern things, but now everyone has to use it. And suddenly, when you don't give access to online platforms, you literally don't give access to schools, like in a literal sense. So it's a thing to consider for the future, definitely.
Yeah. So, speaking of these kind of online platforms, Pavel, I think you discovered one service that could also be used for teaching. It's called Discord.
Yeah, it's Discord. So it's a messenger. It's a quite well-known one in the mainstream society, let's say, mostly used by gamers for coordinating work in games when you play in teams. But not only. It's often used for presentations. I already saw somebody offering HTML or some similar kind of course over Discord in the past. And even some YouTube celebrities have their own Discord community, so it's quite widely used. And I recently heard from a friend here in Poland that one of their teachers set up their own Discord server so they can study together and exchange information. And I must say it's quite accessible. I tested it on all the possible platforms, so Windows, iOS, Android. and they made a great progress since the day they were notified that there is no accessibility at all. And this is really fantastic because at first, of course, the community had to really explain a lot why this is needed, for whom this is needed, what it means, and so on. And now it's working really nicely. On Windows, it's an Electron, so Chromium-based app. You install it, but it looks like a web page in Chrome. And you can navigate all the areas there. Of course, some things could be improved. Some more navigational landmarks could be added. But for the most areas, you have navigational landmarks. You have headings for individual messages. Everything is labeled. And on Android, it's also accessible. Everything is finely labeled. You can navigate, click into things, and it works. On iOS, it's a bit trickier because it's easier if you explore the screen rather than flick right and left. Yeah. But it also works. And the advantage is also you can use it from the web. So you don't need to install anything. And even if somebody is not convinced they should create an account, if you have a server is like a community, like your Facebook group equivalent. You can give a link out and people without Discord accounts can join in on a one-time basis and interact. And the good thing about Discord is that, you can text chat, of course. You can do, however, voice chats, and this is the main part of the Discord community. You can create a channel similarly to TeamTalk or TeamSpeak and chat in there. And the quality is really nice. It's Opus up to 96 kilobits per second in the free version. And if you want to have better quality up to 320, you have to pay. But I think for most users, this quality for free is more than needed or exactly the thing. And what you can also do with Discord... Yeah.
Does it support multi-channel recording or...
No, sadly you cannot record with Discord yet. Maybe they will introduce it at some point. I guess because it was mostly meant for gaming, so live interaction, nobody needed to capture anything.
Okay.
But I think it's definitely a great suggestion. And for now, you can use some kind of software to capture sound. But you can do it the other way around. And it's really simple to set up a stream where you're streaming one of your computer applications. So if you have some video to show or some app to demo or anything, music to play, audio to play, you can stream it from Discord just by setting up the right settings. You don't need to use a mixer or any virtual cables or stereo mix. You just tell Discord which app you want to stream and people can join your stream. And now because of the coronavirus situation, Discord has bumped up the number of people who can join your stream from 10 to 50. So it's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's five times more.
Yes, definitely. And you can stream any content if it's whether it's something you want to present or something educational to all these people. And setting up Discord servers is free of charge, and there is no limit on people who can join the server. So it's a great tool for setting up this kind of communities, voice, text, and multimedia based. It's a great thing to have. So you can check it out as one of the options for accessible learning experience.
Nice. Well, maybe it's the right time also to say something more and spread the word about this platform if it's so usable, so people really have a chance of interacting with it and exploring it. So it's cool that we have such a service. So speaking of basically, let's say the applications for communications, which are in this kind of situation quite crucial. Another application is really becoming popular, especially in Europe for the last few weeks, and the application is called Signal Messenger or Signal Private Messenger. That's the full name of the app. So the original founders of these applications are Brian Acton, who was actually one of the main people who invented WhatsApp, and a few other people, and they invested in some of their resources, and they were searching for sponsors, especially in the open source community. So what happened is that they found a Signal Foundation, who is now basically the main company that's behind the development of the Signal messenger, and the reason why this messenger became so popular for the last few weeks is because of the fact that it uses end-to-end true encryption, which is fully open source. So you can, if you have any kind of knowledge, you can go on GitHub and check what's going on with the code, as well as with the encryption part. So, and the client itself comes in different versions for iOS, Android, and there is even a desktop version of the Signal, which is pretty much usable already. I mean, there are some things which of course could be improved, but speaking of the desktop messaging clients, it's really not that bad. Of course, there are some things where you need to get around and find out how it looks and where something is positioned, because you will hear button thing. So some of the buttons are.
We are talking about the Windows.
About the Windows one. Yeah, we
tested that one.
And the mobile versions of the client are really nice. I have to say I was really surprised by the voice quality. So the voice quality of the messages, even the calls, are even much better than let's say on the WhatsApp app. And the application also supports group conversations, so you can build the groups as on WhatsApp. And you can secure the device if you want with the additional PIN, so that nobody can enter your Signal and see your conversations. And there are a few things which could be improved for the accessibility, but most of it is pretty usable so far. What do you say, guys? Did you try it?
Yeah, we did. Actually, we even had this test group this morning to see how the group chats work, and it was really nice, I must say. Also, I would change a couple things, but it's not like it's not usable or inaccessible. It's more like convenience features. And it works quite nice. The nice thing about the Android version is also that it can act as your SMS application. So, or at least it used to be the case. I think it still is. Some time ago, and you can.
It still is. You can set it up if you want. So it's optional. It's optional. You can turn it in the settings.
Yes. The only reason why I didn't use this part is because it doesn't. I don't think it supports 2 SIM cards. If you need to use 2 SIM cards on your phone, I couldn't choose which one I want to send with. But otherwise, it's really nice, accessible. It even tells you when the message was delivered and so on. So this is definitely something that speaks for it and for its accessibility.
What I miss though is that, for example, when we exchange voice messages, it tells you at least on iOS that I'm using, it tells you the length of the audio message, but it doesn't tell you that it is an audio message. You just hear the minutes and the seconds, but it doesn't say microphone or audio like on WhatsApp.
You mean when you are in the message?
When I'm in the message, exactly.
That's true. I think. Well,
yeah, I wonder if you would exchange other type of medias like images and video clips, how it would present it in the message directly. Because when you're outside of the message, then it tells you microphone, but not in the message. So I think this is more an accessibility problem.
Sure. Yeah. Well, but this is what I was saying at the beginning. There are a few things which could be improved. And it's not that it's 100% accessible, but let's go back in time. And, most people are using, for example, now the WhatsApp, for instance, or the Facebook Messenger. And let's be honest, all of those platforms were mostly not accessible at the beginning. And we had to spend lots of time in explaining to developers what the accessibility is and how we're supposed to fix that. So, on the other hand, the developers of the Signal are kind of aware already about the accessibility, because when you look at their changelog for the app, you can see that they're mentioning it from time to time. So it's not that we are the aliens from the other planet.
Outer space,
No, but it's the application is usable, and what I like is the quality of the audio messages. It is much better from the other services that I usually use. And also the audio call has a very good quality.
Yeah. It's even the recommended app for the people who are working in the European institutions for communications. There are a few articles about it. We will put them in the show notes.
Yeah, we found an article in Politico.
Yeah.
Where they say that it's a recommended application at the European Commission.
And honestly,
exchanging messages.
Honestly, it works even better than WhatsApp. I mean, I have to say, the first time I used it, I have it for a few weeks now on my phone. And when I used it for the first time, and I sent the message to a friend of mine, and I got the message back, and I was listening to the message. I was like, man, this guy is in my room. Like, this really sounds. It really sounds. It really sounds very clear and even louder than, for example, if you would listen to WhatsApp messages. So overall, very good.
And regarding the encryption, well, it seems that the exchange is much more secure on Signal. Yeah, because the messages are not kept anywhere on the servers.
No, though in the newest updates they are offering the possibility of making the backup of your contacts and stuff on the cloud, but it's encrypted, so it's offering you if you want to store it there, but you don't have to. You can still make all of your backups and keep it locally on your device, and then you just save it locally on whatever you want to, whatever media you want to have wherever you want to have your backups.
Yeah.
But
I wonder how this compares against Threema, for example, which is another app, another messenger that claims to be really, really secure. It's a Swiss app, and it's especially popular in German-speaking countries, from what I observed. And it costs something, I mean, 3 or 4 euros, but it's a one-time payment. And one of the advantages it has, for example, is that you can be assigned a randomly generated key, and you can give out this key to the people you want to chat with instead of your phone number. So nobody else can really get to you if you don't specify that you want people to communicate with you. And I think there is also a great deal of encryption going on behind the scenes, but that's a paid app also. So there are alternatives as well, and the web version of Threema, from what I heard, is also quite accessible and usable. So this also works. Yeah,
that's cool. But for this time we had a signal for you.
Yeah,
and we got a signal from out of space. Yeah, not yet. But we will have the links for all those things related to Signal in our show notes. So if you didn't, try it out, and there is also the option of course, sending the invitations to all of your contacts or your selected contacts that you want to send it, so that people can switch to it and use it. And the more secure we are, it's better for us. And if it's accessible in the same time, well, we got the jackpot then. So after all the things relating to messaging, we will switch to another topic that kind of popped up from nowhere as well at the beginning of March. And what happened is that the developers from Google launched a new beta version of the TalkBack, or aka Android Accessibility Suite. How is it called now? For those of you who were Android beta testers, you found out that first of all, most of us received the beta at one day, and then in the middle of the day there was a second beta which started to roll out to the people, but then it was postponed, or let's say it got stopped by Google. Some parts of the people got it, some never got it. And to make the things even more complicated, all the people who were members of the beta testing team at once started to not being members anymore. So what would happen in reality is that when we would go on the beta page in the Google Play Store to check what's going on, it would say like, your account is no longer eligible for our beta testing. And that's all. There was no explanation anyhow from Google what happened why did they pull out so many beta testers out? And because this was like a public channel, so anybody could join who was a member of the ICE-free list. So I assume that, we are talking about few thousand people being kicked out at once. Now we come, to the part where, we have to ask ourselves, like, what happened? There was it was not an announcement, but there was a thread on the ICE-free list where they said that this was not supposed to be a public beta. It was supposed to be a private beta, but that somebody made a mistake and launched it to the public. And therefore, when they realized that even the second version in the same day came out, they realized, oh yeah, we did really bad this time and we have to pull out all the people out. But still, it's really not okay that such a big tech giant who is dedicated to the accessibility up until this day doesn't give any of the public announcement what happened. And I found it really, really, really bizarre that, nobody eventually knows what's happening. Even if you go on the Google Access Twitter, on all of their channels, including the ICE-free list, there was absolutely nothing that said. But however, what we were able to see is that the talkback is changing, and there are huge changes coming along. One of them being implemented Braille supports, or better to say Braille input support at last. So in this beta version that came out, there was first kind of alpha release of the Braille input, but it was there. We were able to see it, that it worked, but of course, since it was alpha released, it's not for public use, and it was crashing lots of times and so on and so forth. But yeah, I was really surprised and pissed off in the same time, I have to say. That, like, hey, come on, this is like you're having like a huge outcry of the community, like, hey, what's going on, guys? Like, why didn't you say anything? You have a huge beta testing team that consisted of few thousand people and no news. So, well, that's really not okay, I have to say. Pavel, did you have a chance of getting these betas and trying out?
Sadly, no, but I heard from other people who tested it, and they were quite detailed tests. And yeah, for now it seems that there's just English supported for the Braille keyboard. But yeah, since it's something that wasn't even supposed to reach us anyway, I guess this will change still. There were a couple of layout options. There were a couple of gestures there, like enter for sending text, expanding and shrinking the keyboard. And yeah, it worked without turning TalkBack off or on, so it was seamlessly integrated.
Finally,
which is something we've waited for a long time. Yeah, some people noticed similarities to soft Braille keyboard, but that could be also, coincidence or something, or simply like popular layout for Braille keyboards.
Yeah, or the fact that maybe they implemented the soft Braille keyboard into the TalkBack, but this is just, my thinking out loud, because the thing is that the soft Braille keyboard is now open source for a few times, and it's basically an abandoned project, so anybody who wishes to integrate it could do it. So it's possible maybe that Google did something with that, or it's possible also that they took our own approach completely. But it's up. Yeah, we will see.
Yeah. And I think also what could have happened, because why do we have this big mess right now, is that a couple of things coincided. I don't know, but that's how I imagine this could have happened. On one hand, the ICE-free mailing list is going fully announcement. So
that's from the end of March.
Yeah, so from the end of March, there will be no possibility to post anything there anymore, which is sad, because actually when this whole Android accessibility started, before even Google acquired TalkBack, already ICE-free community managed to build up like a really, really big community of Android users. And because at the beginning this was quite sparse numbers, because everyone was using iPhones, this was for many people like 10 years of history of collecting knowledge, of exchanging experience. And even for me, when I started using Android in 2013, it was a great source of information about like apps I could use or some tricks I could use to work around some problems I couldn't solve on my own. And the developers also knew about it, because it was one of the most like official lists, and it was somewhere on the Google pages. So whenever a developer wanted to make an app accessible or create an app for blind people, they would just go to ICE3 and ask for feedback. So it was a great platform, especially because there are websites that are trying to be sort of AppleVis for Android users, but I don't think any of them has gotten so much attention as AppleVis has. So sure. Yeah, so ICE3 was this like AppleVis for iOS in this sense that it built a community. And of course this community was also there with the testers, with all the TalkBack release noise and buzz around. And now all of that is somehow gone, and even if there are alternative mailing lists, they will not have the same status. I mean, the reputation will be built with the time, but yeah, it's still a work in progress, and of course there will be no official Google support on board.
No.
So even if we complain about TalkBack not working, nobody will hear.
Yeah, I mean, the Google, what we can see now is that like the Google is officially saying that they rebuilt the whole thing, how you are supposed to give the feedback, and they're offering it to do it via multiple ways. And even you can find that in the Google Help officially now, but still, we are not going to have any more direct communication. That's basically what you said, Pavel.
Yes. I mean, I can see also why this happened, because if you have a community of where anyone can join, then anyone can post anything as well. So whenever things don't go the way people wish they went, people just unload or disload their frustration on the list. And if you do it in a public list, one spark starts a fire, and then, it's not a healthy atmosphere for anyone.
No.
Whereas if you do it in a private feedback channel, I mean, there are support assistants of Google who are trained to cope with these situations, and they will only answer in the capacity they are allowed to talk. Yeah. So so I see why this could have happened, but it's still a pity. And I would have hoped that Google would have a chance to speak about this situation at CSUN, but obviously for obvious reasons they had to cancel. And I think until now we still don't have any official information where, if at all, they will. I mean, they said they are investigating possibilities, but if they will reschedule their event that was supposed to take place at CSUN at some later time, possibly online. Mm-hmm. So there is a webpage that is dedicated to the whole situation of Google at CSUN, but last time I checked, there was no information if there is going to be an online event. It's just that they're investigating. I really hope something will happen.
Yeah, we can put the link of that page in our show notes, so you can check it from time to time what's happening. But as the Google I/O 2020 is also cancelled for now, and they are saying that they will also do maybe some virtual thing, there is still a hope that somebody will come out somewhere and explain us from the accessibility point of view what's going on, because right now it's kind of a big confusion, especially for the users of the Android accessibility suite. It's kind of, we don't know what's going on. We saw something huge happening, but when is it coming out? And is it going to be really included in the final version, in the new version? We don't know.
And I think we also have to make note that this happened after a year where nothing really, or almost nothing really spectacular happened on TalkBack. Like even on the Google I/O, there were just vague mentions of what already happened, or that they released this a month ago, this 2 months ago, and there were no really releases of TalkBack until the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And now they came out with these 2 betas, one that was just cosmetics. Oh no, I'm sorry, there was one update last year, but it was also cosmetics, so like some more messages here, some less messages there.
Yeah.
And then this another update came out with really cosmetic changes, and then this big one, and then it was pulled out, and there was no explanation what happened. So
eventually, we are following up the sites which are taking care of the, let's say, Android development in general, and all the things related to the hardware and software based on Android. And really, you couldn't find anything anywhere about what have happened. So if anybody is listening to us who is close enough to the Google accessibility team, let us know what's going on. We will be very glad to distribute the information in our podcast. Even for the next podcast, it will not be too late to get the information out, because it's really a mess at the moment. And I think we, as the end consumers of the platform, we didn't deserve that. No. Okay, so that's about the Google happenings. We hope that we will see something, that we will see the light at the end of the tunnel. But in the meantime, there are some other announcements in the Android community as well. The first one is the development of the voice stream scanner, which we talked about last year in the podcast. Now that the first version which they released was for the iOS platform, now they came out with the Android version. And Pavel, you tested the version of the voice stream scanner. It's in the beta, right?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, and I think it's a strategy with the voice stream apps on Android, that the public beta is available, so the preview, but already at this stage you pay the full price, so it costs like €7 around, and you already pay for the app at this stage, which many users found really annoying because especially in the first version, now it's a bit better. Now there were some fixes applied, it's a bit better, but there were many bugs, even accessibility bugs, like if you switched a switch on or off, you wouldn't be told automatically that the state has changed. You would have to refresh the interface somehow. But it's there. It has many of the iOS options that you would expect there to be. So you can do the batch conversion. You can do the coordination of the paper against the camera with the beeps that you know from the iOS version.
Yeah.
There is the flash, of course. There is some kind of switch between the text and the picture if you would like to show the scan to somebody sighted. And all of the features, or almost all of the features that you know from the iOS version. And well, what should I say? I'm having a bit less luck with this Android version because I tried the iOS one as well. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering if this relies on the app or this relies on Android in general. Because so my main problem is that I cannot really get this right spot with adjusting the camera towards the paper. The way it works in Voice Dream Scanner is that whenever you move the camera around, you will hear a beep, and the beep is louder the better the position is, or so like the more of the text is visible, the louder the beep is. And on iOS, this works perfectly. I was able to locate the right spot, shoot a photo, and the text was okay. And on Android, no matter what I do, the beep doesn't increase. And from what I heard from somebody else is that apparently it refreshes. So it doesn't happen instantaneously when you raise your phone or move the camera left or right. You have to wait a little. And this is my experience with many apps on Android that somehow rely on camera, because there is the same problem with, for example, Envision AI. When you use their real-time recognition, it doesn't really speak the text as you move the camera, like for example Seeing AI does, but on iOS, but it's like every second or two it will tell you what it detected. So you have to focus the camera on the place where you want the text to be read, and you have to wait a bit. And after some time it will refresh and it will tell you. So maybe there is something with the API on the Android cameras that you have to wait with every operation a little bit until it focuses on it or refreshes or does something else, so that the text is read out properly. There are also some problems with voices. So there is an option that whenever the text is recognized, you should hear it automatically read out. And for me, it wasn't read out. I think there could have been a fix for it, but I know the reason was that if you had both Voice Dream Reader installed and Voice Dream Scanner, then the TTS settings would be inherited from Voice Dream Reader. So if something was wrong with your Voice Dream Reader settings, or you didn't set it up yet, or something similar, then the voices wouldn't work effectively in Voice Dream Scanner either.
Okay, yeah.
So this is the problem. These are the problems I encountered. So I'm still waiting for additional like fixes and updates, but I think with time they will get it right, and we might have a nice alternative to KNFB Reader, because
which is I think no longer. I don't know if it's still in development. We haven't seen the new versions in ages.
That's true, and it's like on Android. The thing was that a KNFB Reader update was needed whenever there was a new Android available, because somehow every Android release, whether it was to 8 or 9 or 10, somehow kept breaking KNFB Reader, and then there was an update out which would address it. But now for Android 10, there was no update.
No, I don't think so, yeah.
And Android 10 has been out for a year or so.
Since last August.
Oh yeah, so half a year, let's say, 8 months. And, well, nothing. So yeah, we can safely assume that at least for now, we don't know anything about the development.
Yeah.
And also, VoiceStream Scanner is cheaper, so
Sure.
Go figure. And it offers like similar functionality. It's difficult to tell about the quality yet on the Android side because of the different problems and errors, but the potential is there. So maybe in the end we'll get a really nice polished product that will be at the fraction, less than a fraction of the price of KNFB. Who knows?
Yeah, I have to say I was very lucky when I got my KNFB because I got it on the very short discount sale when it was. So instead of paying 100 euros for it, I paid like 20.
Yeah, same here. I also got on the discount.
So, so it was cool. I got it at that time, but yeah, man, it's really expensive. If you would pay for the app so much and not receive the updates, well, I would get, I would really get angry about it. But yeah, that's life.
Mm-hmm.
However, yeah, you can try the new beta of the VoiceStream Scanner, and which you have to pay. But once you paid it, when the app becomes the full based, then you are just going to be transferred to the new application. You will not be able to pay again. That's what we have. I mean, this is something that I would like to address to the listeners, because some people might think like, yeah, if I paid once, do I have to pay it again when the new official version comes out? No, you don't. So that's usually how it goes. It's not the only one. There are a few others. The first one that comes to my mind is this advanced braille keyboard, for instance, which is still in beta, and but you can purchase it and then get all the features.
Yeah.
All right. So after the VoiceStream Scanner, there is also a short update about the new YouTube app for Android, which introduces some new things like channel filtering, better playback control, and the things for the accessibility improvements as well. I did mess around with it shortly, and yes, they did improve the accessibility, especially the parts where, for example, you have the player on the screen with all the controls. So now you can basically say to the application for how long do you want to keep the player on the screen, so that you are able to interact with all the controls. Because previously, what would happen is that you would have those controls on the screen for a very short time, and then if you would find something, it would disappear from the screen, and it would be, where is it? And it would be kind of clumsy to get around the interface, and so this is kind of better approach, I have to say. Did you check it, guys?
I did, yes, and I also noticed that for a long time I didn't have these controls on screen. I could just tap the player widget and it would stop or resume.
Yeah.
But now they are back, and you can adjust for how long, or if at all they should disappear. Mm-hmm. And also, if you're on Android 10, this will honor your accessibility global settings for the time of reaction. So if you say that your time of reaction is this and this amount of seconds, this will be also honored in YouTube app.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
so
good.
Do you have is your phone still officially updated to 10?
Not yet, but I read about this in one of the article excerpts, so I suppose this will work. I will have to find out when the 10 arrives on my phone.
Yeah. You are on the Moto something.
Yes,
right?
Motorola One. Yes.
Yeah. Because I read somewhere on some forums list, whatever it was, that people who were using some Moto devices had problems with when they received the Android 10 updates, that they were not able to switch their TTS voices or something like that.
Yeah, I think the Motorola One, but the One Vision, one Zoom or something, like one with some other extensions, they got the updates, and the Motorola One just one didn't get it yet, and
Okay.
I hope we still will, and hopefully with no problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm still on Android 8 on my side, so yeah, no updates. But everything seems to be working fine so far. But yeah, I will have to change to something newer, possibly this year. But yeah, we will see. We have to survive the apocalypse first.
Yes. Hold on tight and survive.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's it for the apps announcements. For this episode. Go and check out all the apps which we happily presented for you. Well, after all of these app informations and updates, it's time to go to the next section, and the next section are short announcements from various manufacturers. The first one comes from Code Jumper, which we already talked about a few times and gave the links. But this time it's really short. It's finally on sale. Yeah. And it's on sale globally for $999. APH announced it just recently, a few days ago. So basically whoever wants to acquire it, they can. So if you want to teach your kids how to program, who have kids who have disabilities, go ahead and purchase the Code Jumper. Maybe you could buy it also now and teach your kids how to program while they are at home running away from coronavirus. That's also one of the options. Well, yeah, if the post arrives. But you never know.
Yeah, but I'm not sure whether it is available in other languages than English. I think
for now, for the moment, not. But yeah.
The question is if you actually need to speak the language so much to operate it, because I think it's based on like putting physical elements together. So
yeah,
the documentation might be in English.
Yeah, you're listening the songs or I don't know what is spoken, but well,
I
don't know how this can be limiting. Maybe it is not a problem, but
it's mostly melodies that have to be right. So I think even when I was a child, actually, I played with a lot of English-speaking toys. Now that I think about it, because they were widely available, and like most of the melodies that came with the toys were somehow American or British themed. Like London Bridge is Falling Down and so on. It's were like the most frequent tunes on my toys. So I think if it doesn't require you to understand written instructions, or if the teacher can convey it to you in your language, for now this will work. Of course, like we would need the documentation translated, but from what I heard, it's mostly working with elements that you put together like in toys. So this should work for now already.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, as you just said, the most work should be basically the documentation translation. And all the rest of the stuff can be locally done and even uploaded into the Code Jumper again. So, but yes, it's finally available, so go and check it out. And the next one comes from the Orbit Research. They are the company who is quite popular for the last few years with their Orbit 20 Braille display. And in the last 3-4 years, we have seen that they're not working only on the Orbit, that they're working on the other projects. And essentially, what happened is that they finally came out with the news and the new products. So they came out with the new Orbit 20 Reader Plus, which is available for $699 instead of standard Orbit Reader 20, which is $599. So for that $100 more, you get initial extended app support, basically, which you don't have in the Orbit Reader, normal one. Then they came out with the Orbit Reader 40 with the included cursor routing keys. And all the rest of the features available from the original Orbit 20. This one is just 40 version.
And it has audio as well. I don't know how well this audio works. or what does it actually let you do, but it is available in 40 and it doesn't seem to be in the 20 plus.
Oh yeah,
but I think
is it like the audio speaker or is this audio a headphone out?
They said audio capacities. We don't know for sure, but I guess there will be a tiny speaker there just for playing some basic audio files or maybe for some spoken output.
Or it could be that it has some kind of NLS support possibly or whatever, because usually now that we are seeing this kind of trend that is coming up, that lots of devices are becoming to have support for the online libraries. Of course, the biggest difference between the European libraries for the blind and the ones available in the US is for the fact that, for example, if you are a member of the NLS, in the States you already have the devices to which you can download the books directly. And here in Europe, we do not have these features yet because each library is working on under different terms. And there are some things which needs to be fixed before we come to the point that we are also compatible. Let's say like that.
Yeah. If
but
you support Daisy Online, this somehow works, but I'm not sure how many libraries actually do.
Right.
Then it's easier to connect to the catalog, to the directory.
40 version of the Orbit reader is available for, I think, $13.99.
Yeah.
And they said that it's coming in June for the distribution. But what really got as well my attention, and this will be, I'm sure that there will be people buying this new product, is the Orbit Writer. That's a small braille keyboard which you can basically connect to any kind of mobile devices and have that keyboard to use to write and navigate through the device, because it has also the arrow keys implemented. So you could basically use it for navigation on your device and quickly writing the stuff where you need it without carrying your second Bluetooth keyboard if you don't want to, or without, some people are really having problems with adjustments and usage of the virtual braille keyboards on the screen. I know a few people, I've seen it, and they are really struggling with that because probably they are not able to correlate with anything physical, so they cannot find it. Where is it? And I'm sure that this braille writer, Orbit Writer, will be a product that will be quite popular when it starts shipping. They're saying that it's also going to start shipping from June, and it will be available for $99, which is cheap, I have to say. So that will be really, really popular.
Yeah, I think also it could be, and I think we already saw a similar product before. It wasn't braille based though. The Revo keyboard.
Oh yeah, but that was like 3 times more expensive.
Was it? Oh, okay. I thought it was.
Revo was like $300.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just imagined in my head it was cheaper. But yeah, these kind of devices are, they will have a market for sure. Like in Poland, we have this device by one of our local AT, assistive technology companies, called eBay, which is a voice note taker. So it has a braille keyboard, but it doesn't have a braille display. It just speaks to you. And it has different functions. Of course, it's a note taker. Of course, it's a calendar and a reminders app. And there is an alarm clock and some games, some bookmarks, book reading capabilities, and so on. But what it also has, and I think this is one of the features they plan to develop quite much and in other areas as well, is it can be your control center for any device you connect it to. Because on one hand, it has the braille keyboard layout, so you can control your device with the arrow keys, type with the braille keyboard that you know. And on the other hand, it has a speaker, so you can listen to what the device says back. And you can handle your phone without ever touching your phone. So this is, I think, something that will have a market with people who don't really feel comfortable with touchscreens.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I forgot to mention that they said that this new Orbit Writer will have like 5 Bluetooth connections and 1 USB. So, that's a lot of possible.
You can control an entire workshop room at the same time, for example.
Well, almost. Yeah, almost.
With 6 computers.
Yeah. But it's really cool. I'm sure that this will be like very much sold out. Yeah, I mean, and it's very small. It's the size of a smartphone. It can be very compact for people. So the last announcement from the Orbit is the thing called Graffiti. The Graffiti is kind of a new thing on the market because it's 60 by 40 or better to say 40 by 60. It's 40 because it has 40 cells in one line, but then you have 60 more lines, let's say. So it looks like a huge notebook which is full of braille, and you would say, "Whoa, this is cool." I would be able to read one page at a time, but no, this is not multi-braille display for reading. This is a kind of braille display for the pictures, mainly graphical things.
But it can also display braille text inside.
It can, but the main purpose, it can, but the main purpose is to be a graphical device.
To represent in tactile with dots the images that the AI inside will process for you.
Right. And from my understanding, you are also able to draw the stuff directly on the device. So you don't have to, if you don't want, you could upload the pictures on it via the SD card, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you could also directly record. You could draw the stuff, the pictures directly, and as you are drawing, you can see them showing up,
popping up. Yeah. And this is great for teachers in classroom when they want to show a graphical representation to a blind student, for example. But not only. But
I can easily imagine doing the geometry and all the stuff like that directly in the classroom. So because, for example, before that we would have to have that old drawing kind of things for the blind people for the geometry with special papers and
this is different because it's interactive. You can draw and make a new one, new drawing, convert from already existing pictures, even though I wonder till which point it is able, the AI, to recognize and to well represent it in tactile form, because we are aware that in tactile form it needs to be simplified. You cannot have all details as in a picture, because if not, it is difficult to distinguish and to understand what it is. But I guess the user needs to get familiarized with the system.
Yeah, what they do is they have different heights of the dots. So you can have some things lower, some things higher. And this is, for example, used for background and foreground or for different colors. And I think when they were showing it at Site City 2017 and there was the possibility to try it, they were actually, for example, showing you a logo. I think it was either it was an ordinary Apple or Apple logo as in the company logo. But you could definitely tell it's an Apple. And then I think they put the black print, like the regular print letters APH, so you could read it. That also worked. So the possibilities are endless. And you can also draw with your finger, and it looks quite nicely when you just slide your finger across the matrix and the dots just come up after you draw with the finger. I'm wondering if a lot has changed since the prototype they showed at the Site City, because I think at that time it still assumed that you could either connect it via USB and also portray things straight from your computer, or even hook it up to something external with HDMI and then
there is no technical information about it yet.
Okay.
Well, at least I didn't check the official product announcements on the Orbit page, so I don't know. But the interesting point about the Graffiti is also the price, and they are saying that for the moment the unit costs $15,000, which is pretty much expensive, though the overall end goal for them is to reduce the end price to $5,000 or even lower if the demand for the device becomes very high,
Higher.
and if they're going with the production in the huge amounts of units, then the units could be much cheaper. And honestly, I think, we have seen we have seen a few companies which are starting to get involved with the Braille graphical devices. We have seen them over a few years on the events such as the CSUN or the Side City. However, I'm not going to talk about their efficiency, but I'm going to talk about the price for the moment. And whenever we would say, this looks cool, but could we purchase it? Well, you could purchase it if you get a really good loan in the bank, because the prices of such devices were enormous. Like, we are talking about 10, 20, up to 50,000 euros per device, etc., etc. And I'm not saying that the certain company is not doesn't have the right to put such price, but we are talking about the end consumers market. Like, okay, well, this is cool, but not everybody could have it. And I could see that, such devices could be used only in huge institutions for the blind, etc., etc. And now that the graffiti came out concerning the features that it has and the possibilities which you can do with it without printing tons of the same material on the Braille paper, I think that we are going towards very good direction, because, okay, 15,000 is for the moment, but, if we are, all of us, including all the huge libraries and the, transcription services, etc., for various countries, if, all of us jump on the same wagon, and, we are saying to them, hey, we would like to have this, at the end, we could get it for 5,000 or even cheaper. And this will be definitely the new age for blind kids, especially, because, okay, now we are at the point where I don't think I would need the graffiti to have it personally at home.
But why not? Okay, maybe the price is really high to purchase it individually, because I think that it would be more interesting for institutions and schools where you would have more students who would need it in a larger time frame. But also having it at home, why not? Because sometimes you have some images on the PC, and why not to understand the shape and what they're showing?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Once it becomes cheap, absolutely. Or cheaper.
Cheaper, yeah.
Not cheap, but cheaper. Absolutely.
I think it would be a very interesting product to have it also not only for education, but maybe the education is the first link.
Yeah. Pavel, what do you say?
I think it has a potential, especially now with everyone wanting to teach online. Let's imagine that every student had a graffiti hooked up to their computer, and the teacher would just use a virtual board to draw things. And these things would automatically come up on each graffiti connected. This would be a revolution, in my opinion. Like, it is almost like, I guess, with a bit of practice, almost like seeing the real board in front of you, the chalkboard. And also, I think from this kind of displays, an interesting thing I also saw some time ago at Side City was the Taktonom, I think it was called. This was another German display with tactile and with tactile graphics. And I think what I saw there was that there was a layout of a document shown, for example, an invoice. And you could locate, for example, the total price in the lower down corner, because you could see the shape of the writing. And I guess if you focused it or touched it or pressed on it or something, it would expand to show you the actual text. So you could see the layout of a document and quickly find information in it, and then on demand read the actual content. So I guess there are multiple use cases for this. Maybe this would be helpful with music sheet. I'm not sure. or with definitely with mathematics or chemistry or some more complex branches.
Subjects.
Where you actually would be better off exploring a structure. So the potential is there. It just takes somebody to make it happen for real on a mass scale.
Maybe it would be also good for explaining like the diagram shapes and etc. Because for instance, if you're studying the any kind of IT, you will come to the point where you need to have explanations of certain diagrams, how it works, especially for the people, for example, who wants to study the parts for being the administrators. So when you have to do the mapping of the networks, etc., virtually looking up how the network is built and all the stuff like that, I think this could be also quite useful. Absolutely, yes. All right, so we have 2 more announcements before we reach the end. The next one is short one coming from Twitter, and basically they finally said what do we need to do and what do we need to set up to have the alt text explained in the tweets.
Is it much different than before? Because before I would, like in official Twitter apps, I think the alt text would be read out, but the problem was for the authors.
I think now the news is that on iOS and Android application you can add the alt text. Is it right?
Yeah.
And because before you could add it only through the official webpage.
Yeah, that was before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now and this is on by default, because I think the issue with Twitter was the issue with Twitter is that it is available only if you enable this option in the settings. So most sites
you enable, but now apparently it's also available from the application on Android and iOS, and before only on the website, again, if you enable it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's cool to know how to do it if you are on the Twitter for mobile, because I'm sure that Twitter made this out probably because many people don't know how to do it. This feature was not so new on the mobile platform. You had to enable it, but it's now more explained how to do it. So if you can try it out on the mobile platform and give us a feedback if it works.
There is also an interesting initiative I found recently on Twitter. There is an account called get_alt_text. And what it does is if you send, it's a bot, and if you send to it, if you mention it in a thread or in a tweet that contains a link to an image, it will either send you in a response tweet the alternative text attached to it, or if there is none, it will let the author know, look, there are blind people accessing your content, you might consider alt tagging your images for future. So it's an interesting initiative.
Okay, that's interesting to know. We can link it in the show notes as well. And the last one for today.
We spoke last time about the Microsoft commitment on inclusivity and accessibility, and Microsoft team of developers, designers, and accessibility experts worked together to bring new accessibility features and improvements to the developer tools, and it reminds really the developer tools from Google Chrome, and you can activate it from the keyboard by pressing Ctrl+Shift+I or F12. Has anybody of you tried it out?
Well, I just saw it shortly for a few minutes, and I realized that it works as they say. I also saw that it's very similar to Chrome, how it behaves
how
and works,
it is presented to us.
Which is not strange thing since now the Edge is also like Chromium based. So,
exactly. And yes, because now the navigation is more accessible to the keyboard. So you can navigate by using tab through the tabs and also through the panes to have more details about. And also they try to comply with the web content accessibility guidelines and to make some more complex features accessible. like the breakpoints and the performance details also now should be accessible. Also, the color contrast ratio should be more accessible in a sense that information that are indicated with color should now also be presented not only by color, so you should be able to read data charts also with the text. And well, there are some known issues, but probably we'll see the improvements in next releases. But this is already a good start because it is much more accessible than it was before.
Yeah. That's cool. And
I'm wondering if actually they also added already or will add the new accessibility tools that Chrome recently got, which are mostly for partially sighted people, or rather for developers who want to adjust websites to cater for the needs of the partially sighted people. Because you have there different simulations of different eye conditions, and you can see how your website will look like in its current form to a person who has this or that visual disability. And this is quite interesting as well.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I don't know. I checked the accessibility tab and it reminded me really the one from Chrome. So you can see like the area tree expanded and some other information under accessibility. But I didn't see that there is an option like to simulate different visualization of the website.
I think it's only in the test Chrome for now in the Canary channel. So maybe it will come at a later time as well.
Okay. Yeah. But I assume how much, as we are talking about, specialized cases where you have to adjust the web page to the needs of the partially sighted people, I would say that at one point you have to have somebody or the developer has to check visually really what's going on. So I'm not sure that how much of those will be accessible to the screen readers, but yeah.
For sure not, but it's a step forward for accessibility anyway, so thought it would be worth mentioning.
Yeah, sure. All right, guys, so we finally came to the end after a long time of rambling for today. It was Corona ramble. I rather prefer Corona beer than coronavirus, I have to say.
I think everyone prefers Corona
more
beer.
People do.
Yeah,
you're not alone.
So go and get yourself a Corona beer. Yeah, all right. Stay tuned with us. We hope to stay healthy. And all of you take care of yourselves. And if you have anything to comment for us regarding whatever subjects we had, or even if you want to send us information about specific things for the virus and people with disabilities, unfortunately, you're supposed to do that, and contact us and tell us what's going on. We will go through your feedback and retweet it, answer back whatever you want. We are available on our standard Ebu Access Cast Twitter as well as email, and we look forward to be with you the next month, which will be in the April after the Eastern holidays. That's for sure. All right. So happy holidays, Eastern. Take care, all of you, and hear you next month.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. This has been EBU Access Cast.